Hey, good morning. Michael Didier here. Glad you could make it. Thanks for joining us. We're going through much of Yasher today. We're going to cover, hopefully, all of Genesis 6. And we're going to talk about kind of where the world was at, the condition of the world just before the latter days of the antediluvian world. I think it's so cool. They're talking about the latter days of the antediluvian world. They don't use the antediluvian world. They just call it the latter days. Well, they didn't know what to expect, did they? But we are going to see we're going to see lots of similarities between the end of the antediluvian world and the end of the world that we are in right now, going into the millennial kingdom. Remember, Noah went into this world that we know alive. Well, who's going into the next world alive? I think it's going to be the servants of the living Elohim, those who walk with him. We're going to talk about that some today. I've got some really fun things to show you. So let's do a quick review. We do it every week. I want to start right here, Genesis 5. We're talking about the writings of the genealogy of Adam in the day that Yehovah created Adam. He made him in the likeness of Elohim. In Elohim's likeness. But verse 3, look what it says. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his likeness, in his image, and named him Seth. What happened? Verse 1, the man, Adam, was created with what? Glory and honor and immortality. He was not ever going to die. He was created in Yehovah's image. We talked about that last week when we talked about the Kassid. Do you remember talking about the Kassid? He says, gather together my kind, my Kassid, those who have cut covenants with me by slaughter. We can become the Kassid again with the glory and the honor and the immortality. You can't tell it much with me right now, can ya? I still look like that old goat. But you know what? There's something in me that most don't have. Practically everybody doesn't have it. It's the glory and the honor and the immortality. It's the return to be in the image of Elohim. And that's what makes a man of Elohim a man of Elohim. Oh, there's lots of people that will say, I'm a man of God. I'm a man of God. And they don't have a clue what that means to be a man of Elohim. The day that Noah sinned is the day that Noah died. Couldn't tell it. He probably didn't even know it. But he died a spiritual death. And that was the day that Yehovah said, lock him out of the garden. We can't have this new creature, remember the new kind, eating from the tree of life. So here it is. Adam lived 130 years, begat a son in his own image. They added the son. He begat in his own image, in his own likeness, and named him Seth. You know, I want to show you something real quick. let me go to this right here. This is my age chart. Look what it says here. Here is Adam, and it's got his first son recorded here as Seth. Well, is that his first son? Well, absolutely not. We know that Cain was the first son and Abel. So just because this has Adam, Seth, Enosh, does not necessarily mean that Enosh is the first son of Seth or that Seth is the first son of Adam, Adam. While I'm on it, let me just point out, remember we saw that Noah, everybody else had sons, 130 years, 105, 90, 70, 65, 162, 65. Well, keep in mind though, these aren't necessarily the firstborn son. These are the Yasher seed coming down through this line of Adam. Jehovah's always had a remnant. These guys are the head of the remnants. Now, I got a hunch that some of these guys are in here and they really didn't do much to promote Jehovah's kingdom on the earth. Seth, what do they say about Seth? Not much. Enosh, it sounds like nobody did much during that time. And it wasn't until Canaan that he began to turn men to Jehovah's kingdom. Well, let me go back to chapter 5 because I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself right now. So a couple things that we need to talk about. One, I guess we saw the pattern. Adam lived, begat Seth. Seth lived, begat Enosh. And we saw that pattern go down, 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 down. And then it changed when we hit Enoch. All of a sudden it says Enoch walked with the Elohim. I like that, the Elohim. Not God, the God. Remember, men were following other Elohim. Go figure. They're following people like Obama, like the legislature, like the congressman. Who are we supposed to follow? The Elohim. The Elohim is who I follow. It doesn't matter to me what Obama does. It doesn't have any effect on me. None whatsoever. Healthcare? Who cares? Not going to affect me. Enoch walked with the Elohim. We're going to talk about Enoch a lot today. We talked about him some last week, but we're going to talk about him some more today. I guess we're kind of getting down to the end of it, but I'm going to give you some highlights. So here we had Lamech. He begat Lamech. And remember, Lamech was the one who begat Noah. Well, look what it says. Lamech lived 182 years, and he begat a son. And he called his name Noah. Noah. Did Noah have other siblings? Well, we know he did. We never talk about him, but in the next verse, look what it says. After he begat Noah, Lamech lived 595 years and had sons and daughters. There were siblings. Was he the first one? I don't know that he was the first one. But I got a hunch that he wasn't. When did he have him? I think he had him late in his life. Whoops, that's not the one I want to go to. I want to go here. When did Lamech have him? He had him at 182 years. Did he have any other sons or daughters before that? Especially sons. That's what we're interested in. Seed, isn't it? Remember, all these men are who? Adam's seed. All of them created in Adam's image. not Yehovah's image. But these men, especially Canaan, especially Enoch, Methuselah, and Noah, were turning men back to Yehovah's ways and helping them to become spiritually born men. Well, the last thing we saw in chapter 5 was Noah having sons. And we saw that, many will assume that these boys are Shem is the eldest. Well, is Shem the eldest? And Noah begat a son. So were they triplets? Well, we saw no, they weren't triplets. They were actually, the birth order was Japheth, Japheth, then Shem, then Ham, Ham. He was the youngest. Okay, so then we turned from here and we went to Yasher. And Yasher had much to tell us. We learned about Canaan. Ooh, I love Canaan. Canaan grew up and he was the son of Enoch. Remember, Seth bore Enoch, and Enoch bore Canaan. Okay, doesn't say much about what Seth did. Doesn't say much about what Enoch did, except that it talked about how wicked the world was during the life of Enoch. But now Canaan is going to be born. And look at what it says about Canaan. And Canaan grew up, and he was 40 years old, and he became wise and had knowledge and skills in all wisdom. He reigned over all the sons of Adam, the seed of Adam, and led the seed of Adam to wisdom and knowledge. Look at the next verse. And Canaan knew by his wisdom that Elohim would destroy the seed of Ha'adam for having sinned on the earth, and that Yehovah would, in the latter days, bring upon them the waters of the flood. Wow. And in those days, Canaan wrote upon tablets of stone what was to take place in time to come. And he put them in his treasures. Ooh, I like that. Canaan treasures the words of Elohim. I think that's really beautiful. Well, Canaan had some righteous sons and daughters. Adah and Zilhah were two of them. Another man, Lamech, not to be confused with the Lamech in the Seth side, in the Cain side, took Adah and Zilhah for his women. And they begat a very important person. Her name was Naamah. It appears that Naamah is the woman that Noah took to begat Japheth, Shem, and Ham. Well, this woman came from Zilhah. Zilhah, during these evil days on the earth, was forced. Well, I would assume she was forced. She had to be forced. She was forced to take, where was that? Here it is right here. The drought. Drink a drought that would render them barren. And what does it say? Zilhah drank with them. Okay, Zilhah is the daughter of Canaan, the man that is turning the hearts of Ha'adam back to the service of Elohim. Would she willingly take this drought? I'm guessing the answer is no. What happened though? She was barren for most of her life. It says in her latter days is when she begat. Here. Zillah became old, and Yehovah, she conceived and bore a son, and she called his name Tubal-Cain. Then she bore Naamah, After I have withered away, have I obtained pleasure and delight. Well, we found out that this woman, Naamah, again, was going to marry Noah. But her sibling, her brother from the same mother, remember he had two wives, Yabal and Yuval, came from, who was it, Zillah and Adah? That's really not that important. Adah. I just like to have it refreshed in my mind. Think about this. It was Tubal, Cain, and Lamech who went out hunting. They were the ones who killed Cain. Remember that last week? And, would you think you'd be pretty famous? Oh my gosh! Cain has been killed! You think the whole world kind of was upset about that? All of a sudden, Cain's not there anymore? I wonder if marrying Naamah had benefits for Noah in bringing attention to him, because Naamah was the only sister. You think maybe there might be some notoriety that was tied to that? I don't know. I always wonder, why did Noah take somebody from the Cain line to marry? I think it had something to do with pulling everybody back together and focusing attention on Noah. That's my guess. Didn't help at all, did it? All right. So let's continue. I don't have too much more that I wanted to cover here. We were going to talk about Canaan. Enosh. Is that who that was? Enosh. I believe it was Enosh who begat Mahalalel. Let's double check that. Enosh begat Canaan. Canaan begat Mahalalel. Okay, let's get that correct. Mahalalel begat Yared, and then came Enoch. And we started Enoch a little bit last week. Let me just go over the highlights. Enoch lived 65 years and he begat Methuselah. Enoch walked with Elohim after having begot Methuselah. He served Jehovah and despised the evil ways of men. And the soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the instruction of Jehovah, the Torah of Jehovah, in knowledge and understanding. And he wisely retired from Adam's seed and secreted himself from them for many days. Here's a man who left the world. He didn't want to have that distraction. I think it's a distraction. Having to go off and make a living every day. It's a distraction from serving Yehovah and learning his ways. Now, some of us, what do I say? We assume we have to. There was a time in my life where I said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to live frugally enough so that I don't have to work every day, so that I can take my time to study Yehovah's word. I think this is exactly what's going on with Enoch. He wants to become completely Yehovah's man. And that pays major benefits we're going to see today. I like that. The soul of Enoch was wrapped up in the Torah of Yehovah, the instructions of Yehovah. Well, let's continue. Oh, this is so cool. So here he is. He's retired. And then it says, then at the expiration of many years, while he was serving Yehovah and praying before him in his house, that a messenger of Yehovah called to him from heaven. And he said, what? Hani, here I am. Ooh, I so want to be called by Yehovah so that I can say, Hani, Shalachni, use me, send me. This is what's going to happen with the 144,000 when they're raised up. Yehovah is going to call them. He's going to seal them and set them apart to his service. I want to show you some things today about what it happens when you're set apart to Yehovah's service. Still going. And Enoch rose up according to the word of Yehovah, and he went forth from his house, from his place, and from the chamber in which he was concealed. And he went to Adam's seed and taught them the ways of Yehovah. And at that time assembled Adam's seed, they were eager to learn it, and acquainted them with the instruction of Yehovah. And he ordered it to be proclaimed in all places where Adam's seed dwelt. He said, where is the man who wishes to know the ways of Yehovah and good works? Let him come to Enoch. Oh, isn't that the question for today? Where is the man who wishes to know the ways of Yehovah and good works? Oh, there's lots of people who have their own good works, but they don't really understand good works. Good works only comes from doing Yehovah's word. All right, well, we're almost done here, and I just got a little bit more. And Enoch taught them wisdom and knowledge and the ways of Yehovah, and he made peace among them. And peace was throughout the earth during the life of Enoch. Wow, there's a man who changed the world. Look what it says, the next verse. And Enoch reigned over the sons, Adam's seed, 243 years. And he did justice and righteousness with all his people. Who are the people that we're talking about, lady people? Men people. He doesn't lead other men's women. He leads other men. They lead their women. And he led them in the ways of Yehovah. Well, then it talks about the generations of Enoch, who were his children. We left off with this verse right here. And Adam died because he ate of the tree of knowledge, he and his sons after him, as Yehovah had spoken. He died. What did Yehovah say? In the day you die. Here, I think I even have it here. Yeah. And Yehovah Elohim commanded the man, saying, of the tree of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of knowledge and good and evil you shall not eat. For in that day that you eat of it, you shall surely die. Okay? Does it make any difference whether he died at 500 years old or 900 and some odd years? I think it was 930. The day he died. Okay? Just the fact that he's dying. Remember, he was created for what? Immortality. Glory. Honor. He wasn't supposed to die. This is the flesh man finally dying. But the spiritual man died the day that he chose to go his own way and not Yehovah's way. That's why he was bearing seed in his own image and not Yehovah's image anymore. Okay, keep that in mind. That's really important that we understand this. Well, we'll go to, and I used to do this, 930 years. Thank you, Sheila. Yeah, I thought it was 930. Yeah, there it is right there, 930 years. Very good. Yeah, Sheila, you're a pleasure to have with us. I'm glad you're here today. And welcome, you and Manuel, I saw came in also. Ate of the tree of knowledge, and his sons after him. Well, you know what? Did the sons really eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? I think they just got what he got, because now all of a sudden they're coming in his image, aren't they? Well, that's where we left off last week. But now I think it's really interesting. He died 930 years. We saw just a few verses above that we had peace on the earth during the time of Enoch. Well, now look what it says this very next verse. Here it is right here. And it was, let me just get rid of this thing. We don't need this anymore. This is just where we left off. So cut that. It was in the year of Adam's death. I always like to go with Adam rather than Adam, just to help focus my mind on who we're talking about, which was the 243rd year of the reign of Enoch. How long did Enoch reign on the earth? We just saw it, 243 years. Isn't that interesting? He started doing something different when Adam died. It was in the year of Adam's death, which is in 243rd year of the reign of Enoch. In that time, Enoch resolved to separate himself from the sons of men and to secret himself as at first in order to serve Yehovah. And Enoch did so, but did not entirely secret himself from them, but kept away from Adam's seed 3 days and went to them for 1 day. So, 3 days, 1 day. What does that mean? Every third day he went? Does it mean it almost makes it go for the 4th day that he was going to be there? But the week is 7 days. Was something different? Maybe it was 3 days for one, and then I got a hunch he was teaching on the Sabbath. Well, in my mind, I see this kind of as a Wednesday night service and a Sabbath service. We're kind of like that. But then look at this. During the 3 days that he was in his chamber, he prayed to and praised Yehovah, his Elohim. Yehovah, his Elohim. I think it's interesting, his Elohim, not the people's Elohim. His Elohim. And the day in which he went and appeared to his subjects, he taught them the ways of Yehovah. And all they asked him about Yehovah, he told them. And he did in this manner for many years. Many years. He's not reigning over them, but he's still teaching them, isn't he? And afterwards he concealed himself for 6 days and appeared to his people 1 day in 7. Can you guess what day that probably is? I'm guessing it's the Sabbath. And after that, once a month. What day would that be? I'd say it'd be the new moon. That's correct, Carrie. And then once a year. Any thoughts on when that might be? Yeah, I would think Passover. Passover. That would be my guess. The time of life. The time when a man brings his offering before Yehovah and becomes as one born in the land. Just a thought. I can't prove it. But if Yehovah doesn't change, if the word endures forever, Strikes me that there's going to be a time of life going on even in the antediluvian world, just like there was for Abraham in Genesis 17 and 18. Anyway, once a year, until all the kings, princes, Adam's seed sought for him and desired again to see the face of Enoch and to hear his words, but they could not, as all Adam's seed were greatly afraid of Enoch, and they feared to approach him on account of the godlike awe that was seated upon his countenance. Therefore no man could look at him, fearing he might be punished and die. Here's a man that has become holy as Jehovah is holy. So much so that to even look on him is terrifying to men who don't have that same holiness in their life. Does that remind you of anything? It reminded me of this. Let's see if I can bring this over a little bit. There we go. Now it was so when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, and the 2 tablets of the testimony were in Moses' hands when he came down from the mountain, that Moses did not know that the skin of his face shone while he was talking with him. So when Aaron and all Israel's seed saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, and they were afraid to come near him. I got a hunch that the 144,000, when they're raised up, are going to have this same glow. We'll see. Time will tell, won't it? I'm just speculating. Again, I've got some things that I want to show you in Genesis 6 today, if we can get that far. I think we will. So they're afraid to even come near him. And all the kings and princes resolved to assemble Adam's seed and to come to Enoch, thinking that they might all speak to him at the time when he should come forth among them. And they did so. And the day came when Enoch went forth, and they all assembled and came to him. And Enoch spoke the words of Jehovah, and he taught them wisdom and knowledge. And they bowed down before him, and they said, "May the king live, may the king live." This man, we're going to see later, had the rod of Elohim. He was the Melchizedek in Jehovah's kingdom, the highest ranking Yasher man in Jehovah's kingdom, the one who knew Jehovah's word the best. And here they are. May the king live. May the king live. These men knew that Enoch was different. And in some time, when the kings and princes and Adam's seed were speaking to Enoch, and Enoch was teaching them the ways of Elohim, behold, an angel of Jehovah, a messenger of Jehovah, then called unto Enoch from heaven, and wished to bring him up to heaven to reign there over, now here it says, Elohim's seed. To reign over Elohim's seed, as he reigned over the Adam's seed upon the earth. Ooh, what's going on with this business about the Elohim's seed. Or let me just open this note. You know what? I'm going to save this. We're going to get to it today. I'd rather wait. Let's wait. Make him rain. Okay. When at that time Enoch heard this, he went and assembled all the inhabitants of the earth and taught them wisdom and knowledge and gave them divine instructions. And he said to them, I have been required to ascend to heaven. I therefore do not know the day of my going. He knew that when Yehovah said he needed him up in heaven, that he was going to go. Didn't know when. But I think he's preparing him. Now therefore I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you, how to act upon earth, whereby you may live. And he did so. Oh my gosh! I will teach you wisdom and knowledge, and will give you instruction before I leave you. About what? About how to act upon the earth whereby you may live. Well, aren't we living already? No! But you can. And he did so. This is what I'm trying to do right now. Exactly the same thing. Teach wisdom and knowledge and give instructions on how men are to act upon the earth whereby they may live. Well, I'm doing it for women too. Follow your man. And he taught them wisdom and knowledge and gave them instructions, Torah. And he reproved them and placed before them statutes and judgments to do on the earth. Oh my goodness. And he made peace among them, and he taught them everlasting life. Taught them everlasting life. It's something you do to get everlasting life. He didn't just bless them with everlasting life. Had something to do with statutes and judgments, didn't it? Ooh, so much things that will lead us to other deeper understandings. And he dwelt with them some time, teaching them all these things. And at that time, Adam's seed were with Enoch. And Enoch was speaking to them, and they lifted up their eyes, and the likeness of a great horse descended from heaven, and the horse paced in the air. Enoch, I don't even think saw it. They saw it. Look what it says. And they told Enoch what they had seen. And Enoch said to them, on my account does this horse descend upon the earth. The time has come when I must go from you, and I shall no more be seen by you. Wow. And the horse descended at that time and stood before Enoch. And all Adam's seed that were with Enoch saw him. And Enoch then again ordered a voice to be proclaimed, saying, where is the man who delights to know the way of Yehovah, his Elohim? Oh, I think those are such beautiful words. Where is the man who delights to know the way of Yehovah, his Elohim? Let him come this day to Enoch before he's taken from us. And all Adam's seed assembled and came to Enoch that day. And all the kings of the earth with their princes and counselors remained with him that day. And Enoch taught Adam's seed wisdom and knowledge, and gave them divine instruction. And he bade them serve Yehovah, not the kings of the earth, and walk in all his ways all the days of their lives. And he continued to make peace among them. And it was after this that he rose up and rode upon the horse. And he went forth, and all Adam's seed went after him, about 800,000. 800,000! That's almost 1,000,000 men! And they went with him one day's journey. And the second day he said to them, return home to your tents. Talking to men, go back to your tents. The men own the tents, like the men own the ladies. Why will you go? Perhaps you may die. And some of them went from him. Some of them went back home. And those that remained went with him 6 days' journey. And Enoch said to them every day, return to your tents, lest you may die. But they were not willing to return, and they went with him. And on the 6th day, some of the men remained and clung to him. And they said to him, we will go with thee to the place where thou goest. As Yehovah liveth, death only shall separate us. Wow. Wow. Are you willing to go wherever Yehovah leads and only death separating you from that? It reminds me of this. This is Ittai the Gittite. So you see it here. In fact, you came only yesterday. This is David talking to Ittai the Gittite. He's got his men, he's got his children, and even though they don't mention it, he's got his ladies there also, but they're not talked about. The ladies are never talked about. In fact, you came only yesterday. Should I make you wander up and down with us today, since I go I know not where? Return, take your brother back. Mercy and peace be with you. He's really trying to dismiss Ittai the Gittite. He left his king. He only arrived to David today, yesterday. But listen to what Ittai says to David. But Ittai answered the king and said, as Yehovah lives, and as my master the king lives, surely wherever place my master the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also your servants will be. Sounds similar, doesn't it? Death or life? Well, look at what happened to these men. He says, as Yehovah lives, death only shall separate us. And they urged so much to go with him that he ceased speaking to them. And they went after him and would not return. And when the kings returned, they caused the census to be taken in order to know the number of remaining men that went with Enoch. Men who went with Enoch. And it was upon the 7th day that Enoch ascended into heaven in a whirlwind with a horse and chariot of fire. On the 8th day, all the kings that had been with Enoch sent to bring back a number of men. Remember, we're talking about men that were with Enoch in that place from which he ascended into heaven. And all the kings went to the place, and they found the earth there filled with snow, and upon the snow were large stones of snow. And one said to the other, Come, let us break through the snow and see, perhaps the men that remain with Enoch are dead, and are not under the stones of snow. And they searched, but they could not find him, for he had ascended into heaven. You know what? Where did these men go? This is the last it says about these men. Is it possible that these men went with Enoch? Didn't find the men? I wonder. And all the days that Enoch lived upon the earth were 365 years. 365 years. All the days that Enoch lived on the earth. He reigned for how long? 243 years. Well, really longer than that, because remember, it said for many years he did it 3 days and then 1 day, and then he did it once a week. So he was around for a long time. And when Enoch had ascended into heaven, all the kings of the earth rose and took Methuselah his son and anointed him. And they caused him to reign over them in place of his father. Well, again, Yasher talks about Methuselah having that staff being given to him. He's going to pass the staff to Noah. I'm talking about the rod of Elohim, the rod that really got down to Moses later on. Again, it's the symbol of the authority of the lead men in Jehovah's kingdom. Ooh, we've got lots to say about that particular staff. Remember, Moses, the first time, hit the rock with it, was told to hit the rock with it. But the second time, he was told to speak to the rock, not hit it. I think it was a shadow picture. The men that Yehovah is raising up in these last days are going to speak the word, and it's going to be done. They will slay the wicked by the breath of their lips, it says in Isaiah 11. So much to learn. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. It all fits together and becomes a beautiful picture. And when Enoch had ascended into heaven, all the kings of the earth rose and took Methuselah his son and anointed him, and they caused him to reign over them in place of his father. Yeah, he became the new Melchizedek. Yeah. Methuselah acted upright in the sight of Elohim, as his father Enoch had taught him. And he likewise, during the whole of his life, taught Adam's seed. You see how easy it is to go back to that sons of men. He taught Adam's seed wisdom and knowledge and the fear of Elohim. And he did not turn from the good way either to the right or to the left. The fear of Elohim. First message to 144,000, first message the servants of Yehovah are going to give in these last days is fear Elohim. Give glory to him. Worship him. Serve him who created the heavens and the earth and all that is in them. Look what it says here. But in the latter days of Methuselah, the sons of men turned from Yehovah. They corrupted the earth. They robbed and plundered each other, and they rebelled against Elohim. They transgressed, and they corrupted their ways, and would not hearken to the voice of Methuselah, but rebelled against him. Well, we can't have this. Look what Yehovah's reaction is. And Yehovah was exceedingly wroth against them. And Yehovah continued to destroy the seed in those days, so that there was neither sowing nor reaping in the earth. Wow. Causes some problems, doesn't it? For when they sowed the ground in order that they might obtain food for their support, behold, thorns, thistles were produced, which they did not sow. I hate it when that happens. And still, Adam's seed did not turn from their evil ways, and their hands were still extended to do evil in the sight of Elohim. And they provoked Yehovah with their evil ways. And Yehovah was very wroth and repented that he had made Adam. He had made the man. And he thought to destroy and annihilate them. And he did so. Destroy. Shakat, I think, was a word that we're probably going to see. It's what's going to be used in Torah. Shakat. He thought to shakat them, annihilate them, and he did so. In those days, when Lamech, the son of Methuselah, was 160 years old, Seth, the son of Adam, died. And all the days of Seth lived were 912 years, and he died. And Lamech was 180 years old when he took Ashmua probably, the daughter of Elisha, the son of Enoch, his uncle, and she conceived. He took a righteous woman, apparently. They spelled it differently than they did above. And at that time, Adam's seed sowed the ground, and a little food was produced. Yet Adam's seed did not turn from their evil ways, and they transgressed and rebelled against Elohim. You know what? This says Elohim. I would love to see the Hebrew on this. I'll bet you it's the Elohim, just like we're seeing in Yasher. Wait till you see Yasher, or Genesis 6, rather. In Genesis 6, it talks about the Elohim almost exclusively. Why is that? Just before he's destroying the world, he's talking all of a sudden about the Elohim. Do you think that has some ramifications for this day and age? And the woman of Lamech conceived and bore him a son at that time, at the revolution of the year. The revolution of the year, the beginning of the year. You can see it better if I turn it on. Interesting. I wonder if Noah, like Isaac, was also born on the time of life. Wonder. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at this moed, this set time next year. Isaac was born at the time of life. This is the time of life that we were talking about, Passover. The time that the spiritually born men are born. And he said, I will certainly return to you according to the time of life. This is the next chapter. Behold, Sarah, your woman, shall have a son. Sarah was listening at the tent door, which was behind him. Is anything too hard for Yehovah? At the appointed time, the moed, I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Wowzers. Revolution of the year. Methuselah called his name Noah, saying the earth was in his days at rest and free from corruption. And Lamech, his father, called his name Menachem, I guess. This one shall comfort us in our work and miserable toil in the earth, which Yehovah has cursed. And the child grew up and was weaned, and he went in the ways of his father Methuselah, perfect and upright with Elohim. You know what? Perfect and upright. You know what that word is in Torah? Pretty sure it was tamid and yasher, or maybe even righteous. So tamid doesn't mean perfect. That's how it gets translated by men all the time. We're going to see it over and over and over in Torah. But it's more like holy, righteous with Elohim. Perfect and upright. Well, it's almost repetitious, isn't it? There's something going on. Holy, righteous before Elohim. And all this Adam's seed departed from the ways of Yehovah in those days, as they multiplied on the face of the earth with sons and daughters. And they taught one another their evil practices, and they continued sinning against Yehovah. Does that sound like the world today? And every man made himself an Elohim, or made unto himself an Elohim. And they robbed and plundered every man his neighbor, as well as his relative. And they corrupted the earth, and the earth was filled with violence. Well, that's exactly what Yehovah is saying about the earth being filled with violence. I put some made Elohim of themselves. You know, that's what I see happening a lot these days, is they read Yehovah's word, and rather than follow Yehovah's word, they decide what is right and what's wrong in their life. Yehovah says, don't eat meat slaughtered to other Elohim. But we say, oh, well, it's clean. We can just do whatever we want. Well, we're going to see when we get to Leviticus 17 that there's a big difference. But either we want to learn his ways or we don't. Either we want to conform our life to what we've learned or we don't. See, a lot of people want to learn it, but a lot of people don't want to conform their life to it, do they? Well, look what it says. Made unto himself an Elohim. The very next verse, look what it's saying. And they're judges and rulers. Judges and rulers. Went to the daughters of men and took their women by force. Rulers and judges. Boy, you know what? What do you do with this? Rulers and judges. I'd love to have the Hebrew on this. I'm guessing the word translated here. Okay, fallen angels. I'm guessing the word being translated here is Elohim's seed. And the translator does not know what to do with it. Remember, when we talk about Elohim, that's exactly what we're talking about, is what? Lawmakers and judges. What do you call these guys? Judges and rulers. Elohim. Sons of Elohim, he doesn't know what to do with it. And so he calls it judges and rulers. Well, again, we're going to get into the next chapter. But here are these men. I want to call them Elohim's seed. We're going to see that they're fallen angels. Went to the daughters of Adam and took their wives. So they're going to their daughters and they're taking their wives by force from their husbands according to their choice. She's pretty, I'll take her. And the sons of Ha'adam in those days took from the cattle of the earth, the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, and taught the mixture of animals of one species with the other. Sound like something we got going on today? Hybrid seeds, hybrid species, in order therewith to provoke Yehovah. I got a hunch. This says men. If you read Enoch, I said I would expect this word to be Elohim, not men. I think it was Elohim's seed that was the ones that were teaching the sons of men to do this. Taught a mixture of animals of one species with another, in order therewith to provoke Yehovah. And Elohim saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt. What did he say it was supposed to do? Seed produces after its own kind. But what are they doing? They're making new seed. And Elohim saw the whole earth, and it was corrupt, and all flesh had corrupted its way upon the earth, all men and all animals. And Yehovah said, I will blot out man that I created from the face of the earth. Did he create the ladies from the face of the earth? No, he created the man from the face of the earth. Yea, from man to the birds of the air, together with the cattle and the beasts that are in the field, for I repent that I made them. Again, the ladies are not being discussed. They're talking about the men. They're talking about the birds. They're talking about the animals. They didn't even mention the creeping things. Why? Because the ladies are in the men. When you deal with one, you're dealing with the other. They're not even talked about. And all the men who walked in the ways of Yehovah died in those days. Merciful deaths, wasn't it? Yehovah is getting ready to destroy the earth. But he's letting the righteous men die ahead of time. And all men who walked in the ways of Elohim. All men. All men. Not talking about the ladies. We're talking about the Ish. Walked in the ways of Elohim, died in those days. Before Yehovah brought the evil upon man, which he had declared. For this was from Yehovah, that they should not see evil, which Yehovah spoke concerning Adam's seed. And Noah found grace in the sight of Yehovah. And Yehovah chose him and his sons to raise up seed from them upon the face of the whole earth. Well, this now is the point where we're going to turn from Yasher and go back to Genesis. We won't make it back to Yasher again today. Hopefully that we'll make it through Genesis today. Let's see what we can accomplish. All right. I want to go to Genesis 6. It says, now it came to pass when Ha'adam began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born to them. Verse 2. Now, this is the first one. See where it says God and the sons of God. Okay, it doesn't say God. It says, and Elohim's seed. Oh, I forgot to put the B'nai in there, but we're talking about B'nai. Elohim's seed, B'nai. saw that Ha'adam's daughters, that they were beautiful, and they took for themselves women, all whom they chose. Remember, we just saw in Yasher that they were taking even married women from their husbands by force. Think about this. We were just reading in Yasher about mixing animal kind with different animal kind. What's going on here? We have sons of Elohim. Who are the sons of Elohim? Who are Elohim's seed? Really, that's what we're talking about, Elohim's seed. Who are they? We're going to take a look at that. But here's eternal beings coming to earth and taking a kind that is different from their own. Eternal beings taking, or I should say, immortal beings taking mortal beings. And they're begetting a hybrid. Well, let's take a look at who these eternal beings are. Well, I thought I had more about that. Again, there was a day when Elohim's seed, there's the seed, Elohim's seed, same phrase that we're seeing right here in Torah, came to present themselves before Yehovah. And Satan came also among them to present himself before Yehovah. It appears to me these are fallen angels that we're talking about when we're talking about Elohim's seed. You follow me? Let me just look here. I think it's just near this one. So is there sons of God? Yeah, here it is. But let me go down to, here's several from Job. Now there was a day when Elohim's seed came to present themselves before Yehovah, and Satan was among them. Here's 2:1. Again, there was a day when Elohim's seed came to present themselves before Yehovah, and Satan came also among them to present himself. When the morning stars sang together, all Elohim's seed shouted for joy. Here's Enoch. I don't pull Enoch out very often, but this was one thing in Enoch that struck me as very interesting. It's a little bit long, but I think it's worth taking a look at. And then Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel looked down from heaven and saw much blood being shed upon the earth, and all lawlessness being wrought upon the earth. And they said one to another, the earth made without inhabitants cries the voice of their cryists up to the gates of heaven. What are they talking about? The people are being slaughtered on the earth, their blood goes into the earth, and now the earth is crying out. Their blood is crying out from the earth, and it's going up to heaven. And now, to you, the holy ones of heaven, the nephesh of men make their suit, saying, bring our cause before the Most High. And they said to Yehovah of ages, Master, I'm guessing it says Master of masters, Adonai, or Adon of Adonai, El of Elohim, Melech of Melechim, and Elohim of the ages. The throne of thy glory standeth upon all the generations of the ages. Thy name, holy and glorious and blessed unto all ages. Thou hast made all things, and power over all things hast thou. And all things are naked and open in thy sight. And thou seest all things, and nothing can hide itself from thee. Thou seest what Azazel hath done, who hath taught all unrighteousness on the earth. This is either Satan or one of his chief deputies. What Azazel hath done, who has taught all unrighteousness on the earth, revealed the eternal secrets which were preserved in heaven, which men were striving to learn. And Semyazah, to whom thou hast given authority to bear rule over his associates. 2 men are doing this. 2 angels are doing this. And they have gone to the daughters of men upon the earth, and have slept with the women, and have defiled themselves, and revealed to them all kinds of sins. And the women have borne giants. That is the defiled seed that's coming from this relationship with mixed kinds. It's an unusual seed, I think we're going to see, because it is got a spiritual component to it. And it's got a mortal component to it. A mixed seed. We're going to see that there was sons of Elohim, Elohim's seed, before the flood, but they were also after the flood. How did they get there? How did they get there? I got a hunch that when the mortal part of those beings died, that the immortal went on. That's my guess. Now, how did they progress to the next generation? How do we get giants again? Well, I don't have an answer. I don't really have an answer. How did that happen? Did the flesh actually live through the flood? I suppose it's possible. Carrie and I were thinking that when these women had these men, that they couldn't produce. But we saw that later on in Torah, it talks about sons of giants. Doesn't never talk about daughters of giants, but it talks about sons of giants. I suppose they're taking women, flesh women again. What did it talk about? Daughters, Adam's daughters. And the women have borne giants. And the whole earth has thereby been filled with blood and unrighteousness. The earth is filled with blood. And now behold, the souls of the flesh of those who have died are crying and making their suit to the gates of heaven, and their lamentations have ascended, and cannot cease because of the lawless deeds which are wrought on the earth. And thou knowest all things before they come to pass. Thou seest these things, and thou dost suffer them, and thou dost not say to us what we are to do to them in regard to these. Give us some instructions, please. Then said Most High, so now Yehovah speaks. The Holy and Great One spake, and sent Yeriel, the son of Lamech. We're going to see his name is Methuselah, the person that we're talking about, and said to him, go to Noah, tell him in my name, thus says Yehovah, Tell him that. Go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him the end that is approaching, that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth and will destroy all that is on it. Any reason why God waited 500 years to have his firstborn son? He didn't want his sons to be killed. But here he is. Hide yourself. Hide yourself. Sounds to me like what Enoch did when he separated himself from Adam's seed, right? Well, what's going to happen? Here's what Jehovah then says next. And Jehovah said, my spirit shall not rule in man. My spirit shall not rule. Dune. It's the same root that we get Don from. Don shall not rule. My spirit shall not rule in man forever, for long, for he is indeed flesh. He is flesh. He goes on, yes, his days shall be 120 years. Talking about Adam. Adam, he is flesh. Adam is flesh. Well, look at this. What does he say? My spirit shall not rule in man forever, for he is indeed flesh. Look what he says in Isaiah 43 or 47, verse 3. He says, this is the one that has 47 and then 52. The first one is, sit down in the dust, you virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit down without a throne. Okay, this is the same portion. It finishes by saying, your nakedness shall be uncovered. Yes, your shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance. What does he finish with? And I will not arbitrate with a man. A man with Adam. No, he's not going to arbitrate with Adam. But we're going to see that Noah is a righteous Ish, not Adam. Ish. Ooh, interesting. Jehovah is spirit, and he communicates with men who are spiritual beings, not those who live in their flesh. That's why he constantly says in Torah, the prayer of the wicked is an abomination to his ears. He does not hear the prayer of those who do not love his Torah. You know what? For years, I thought he was hearing my prayers. It seemed like sometimes my prayers were even being answered. But I know now, he didn't hear my prayers. I talk to people all the time who say, well, God told me this, or this happened in my life. Are you going to say this isn't Elohim? Well, yeah, probably will. Because Yehovah, women. Okay, I love women. Don't get me wrong. I wish I had a woman. I wish I had several women in my life. But I don't have any in my life right now. But I hear this from uncovered women. God told me this. This happened in my life. And are you saying, yeah, this is not from Elohim. You know what? Satan has counterfeits. This may hurt to hear, but we've been lied to. I was lied to most of my life. I thought he heard my prayers. I thought he told me things. I believe now that I was totally wrong because that is contrary to his word. Look at this. This is Deuteronomy. I'm so glad I have this here. I was going to turn to it just now. This is Deuteronomy 4. Surely I have taught you statutes. This is Moses speaking. And judgments, just as Jehovah, my Elohim, commanded me, that you should act according to them in the land which you go to possess. He's talking to the spiritually born men who have left Egypt and have come now to Sinai. Well, actually, they're even beyond Sinai right now. They're in the gateway of the promised land. That you should act according to them in the land which you go to possess. Therefore be careful to observe them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the peoples who hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. We're talking about the men of the nation. For what great nation is there that has Elohim so near to it as Jehovah, our Elohim, is to us, for whatever reason we call upon him? They don't have that luxury. They can't call upon Jehovah except to say, forgive me. He'll hear that prayer. That's the one prayer that Jehovah will always hear. The prayer of a contrite heart and a broken spirit. I'm a sinner. I've gone my own way my whole life. I've served other Elohim my whole life. And now I want to learn to serve only you. He'll hear that prayer. He hears the prayer of spiritual men. Verse 4 says, behold, giants were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, after the flood. How did they get there? They have to ask ourselves that question. When Elohim's seed, Elohim's bani, came to Adam's daughters, and they bore them. Those were the Gabor ones who were of old. This says in my New King James, men of renown. The word here is, it looks like Enoshi. It's actually Enshi. Enshi is how you would say this. But is this the plural form of men? Could be. Remember, the plural form of Isha is Nashim. This is Enoshi. Could be a plural form. It could be Enosh. Mortal. Who were men of old. Mortal men of renown. Who were of old, mortal men of renown. Could be that. Here's Enosh. Again, talking about a man. Something's wrong with some of these, with the words. You know, Strong's, okay? Strong's is the one who put together these words and telling us which ones go with which roots. He's got them wrong sometimes. And so we have to be aware of when they're wrong. Now, I'm going to show you one here in 2 more verses, maybe even 1 more verse, where we're going to see that it is clearly mislabeled as far as the Strong's number is concerned. But I think it's done to put ideas in our minds that are inappropriate, and really to foster the ideas of the doctrines and traditions of men. Let me go on. here is, still on verse 4, my note. This is the messengers who did not keep their proper domain, the angels, the Elohim. This is Jude in the New Testament. I don't often pull something from the New Testament, but I thought this was interesting. The angels, the Elohim seed, who did not keep their proper domain, but left their abode. He has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Everlasting chains. Why everlasting chains? Because they're everlasting beings. You can't kill the spiritual being. So that's going to be something that they can't get rid of. When we talk about it's, well, here I think we're going to get to it here. We're talking about it at the end. He has reserved everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Great day. As Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities around them in similar manner to these, having given themselves to sexual immorality, and gone after strange flesh. There it is. They went after strange flesh. Spiritual beings going after mortal beings. Strange flesh are set forth as an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. See, we get this idea that if you die, you're going to go into the lake of fire, and you're going to be in there, and it's hell, and all my friends are going to be there. I mean, that's what we hear, isn't it? But these are eternal fire because they're eternal beings. When the end of judgment, we're going to have the great day of Yehovah at the end of the tribulation. Everybody's going to die except the servants of Elohim and all those who have joined themselves to them. They're going into the millennial kingdom. At the end of 1,000 years, there's going to be a great judgment. That great judgment is going to have everybody raised from the sea, from the earth. And they're going to see what they missed out on. There's going to be great gnashing of teeth. But they're all going to be judged. The Kassid are going to find eternal life. The Ezra men and those who join themselves to them are going to find eternal life. The rest, the Adam seed, is going to the lake of fire. Right now they're sleeping. Then they're going to go into the lake of fire and they're going to burn up. They're going to be as if they never were. We'll forget them. As eternal beings, we'll forget about them. Yeah, it's at the end of 1,000 years. But they're going to burn up. Well, so here I had, going on, verse 5. Let me slide this up. Then Yehovah saw the wickedness of Ha'adam was great on the earth. There it is. Ha'adam. They did use the definite article again. The wickedness of Ha'adam was great upon the earth. Not talking about the ladies. We're talking about the men. The wickedness of Ha'adam was great upon the earth. And that every intent of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. I thought it was interesting. Intent. Yet, sir. Conception, thought, nature, forming of thought in the mind. We're not even capable of doing right things anymore. We're do evil continually. And Yehovah was sorry that he made Adam on the earth. And he was grieved in his heart. Ooh, there's something you don't see every day. Yehovah is grieved in his lavav, his heart. Yehovah has emotions. When the sons of Samuel came to, or no, when Samuel came to Yehovah, he's about ready to die, and perverted Israel's seed, who had gone after their harlotry, who wanted to be like the other nations, said to Samuel, give us a king that they may rule over us. So no, give us a king that we may be like the rest of the nations. And Yehovah said, give them the king that they wish for. He says, for they, I'm going to go there real quick. I think it's 1 Samuel 8. We can get back to it here. Look, you are old and do not walk in your ways. Here it is right here. Now make us a king to judge over us like all the nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, give us a king to judge us. For Samuel prayed to Yehovah, and Yehovah said to Samuel, heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. Talk about Yehovah's emotions. Do you think it hurts the Creator when we choose to serve other kings besides him? We have gone so far in our harlotry that we now try to say that we are obeying Elohim by serving those kings. Oh my gosh. That's what most of the Christian world is teaching you. Obey the law of the land. Man alive. No wonder the world's about to be destroyed. Talk about making other Elohim who are not Elohim. This is what they were doing in the antediluvian. This is what got them killed. They were taking Elohim instead of Yehovah, the Elohim. We're running out of time. Let's go back. (6:6). Grieved in his heart. So Yehovah said, I will destroy Adam. Who's he going to destroy? Adam. Hear that? Whoops. I will destroy Adam. There it is right there. I will destroy Adam, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, creeping things and birds of the air. For I am sorry that I made them. You know what? I don't think he was unhappy with the beasts. I don't think he was unhappy with the birds of the air. I don't think he was unhappy with the creeping things. But when he says, I'm sorry I made them, I think he's sorry that he made the Adams, those men who have now perverted all flesh. Remember, where the man goes, his woman's going to go. But it's not about the women. They go after their man. Now, there are going to be some women that made it. Were there righteous women attached to the men who died ahead of time? I think there was. And when they get raised at the end of 1,000 years, at the end of the millennial reign, in the great judgment, we'll get a chance to see them. They'll be picked back up. There's more to this than the simple Simon faith that we have learned all our whole life. Okay, so we're talking about Ha'adam, Ha'adam, Ha'adam. Last 3 verses, we saw Ha'adam, right? Now, look at what we're going to see in this very next verse. Well, actually, it's 2 verses. Let's go to this one first. But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yehovah. That's a Hebrew idiom. Eyes of Yehovah. Does Yehovah have eyes? No, it's an idiom. He doesn't have hands. The great arm of Yehovah is about his strength. Okay, finding grace in the eyes of Yehovah. What is that about? Being pleased by Yehovah's eyes. Here, but Noah found grace in Yehovah's eyes. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah became wholly righteous. Okay, I'm going on to the next verse here. But I want you to see this. This is, remember we were talking about perfect and, what did they use the word? Perfect in Yasher, we were talking about perfect and just, I think it was. Perfect and perfect and upright. Thanks, Carrie. That's exactly what it was. Perfect and upright. Well, look at what the word is here in Torah. It is tamid, tamim. Okay, entire. They go ahead and at the end they want to put integrity, truth. Okay, folks, that's not what it's all about. We're not talking about perfect sacrifices when we bring our shalomim. Okay, it's not perfect. There are some things that an animal does need to be perfect, but that's not the word that they're going to use when we're talking about perfect. The perfect is no mum, no flaw, no blemish. Okay, that would be perfect. This is entire. Yehovah, hear what he says. Noah is holy, righteous man in his generations. A just man. A just ish. I'm surprised I don't have that ish there. Here it is right here. Let me just put this in here, just so you can see what was going on. This is 6:9, and it's just the next verse. Edit copy. Here, this is the word that we're talking about right here. But what I wanted you to see was, look what it says. But Noah found grace in Jehovah's eyes. This is the genealogy of Noah. Noah became a holy, righteous man in his generations. Noah walked with Elohim. Now, the word that they use here, look at this, is clearly ish. I mean, no doubt in your mind. Aleph, Yod, Shin. It's ish. No, there is no other word that says ish. But look at the word they put here. Enosh. Mortal man. Now, an Enosh is always a man. But I think they put Enosh, and this is Strong's that did this. They put Enosh there instead of ish, which it clearly is. They put Enosh there. Look at how Enosh is spelled. It's got the noon in it. And it's got a vav in it. It's a different spelling. Why does he use Enosh, this word, they put this number, H582, instead of the number for the man, for the ish? Why? I think it's because he wants to make a way for ladies to walk with Elohim. That's my hunch. And it perverts the gospel because he's a righteous man. Okay, there are nowhere in Torah will you ever see righteous Isha. Doesn't exist. Nowhere, you will never find it. Righteous Isha, there are no righteous Isha. Now, I know in my writings I'm changing those because I used to talk about a righteous woman. There is no righteous woman. The woman of worth is the woman who's doing what she was created to do. The righteous man is the man who is doing what he was created to do. Does that make sense to you? I hope you're getting this. Well, we could talk about the eyes being the fountainhead of the spirit. I hope that I have many people that have commented on me when they see pictures of me or see me in my videos, that they say your eyes are different. I hope they're seeing spiritual eyes. I hope they're seeing something different in my eyes. Noah was a righteous Ish, not an Adam. And I think that's an important distinction. Remember, he says, I will not arbitrate with Adam. Who does he talk with? He talks with the righteous men. The spiritual men are the ones that he talks with. Sometimes he gives dreams to unrighteous men, but it's the righteous men who actually interpret the dreams. Let's go just a couple more verses, I guess. We did this one. Ooh, I had more I wanted to say about this. Zadik. Okay, here's some words that you need to learn. Ish, good word. Here's the word it should have been. Look, here's Ish, Yod, Aleph, Yod, Shin. Here's the word it should have been. Aleph, Yod, Shin. You see that at the top there in the blue? That's what it should have been. But it's not. Righteous is the other word that I want you to learn. This is Zadik. Zadik. We're always talking about men when we're talking about Zadik. Righteous. Righteousness is being held to a standard of living. Here, I believe I've even got a thing in here. This is a righteous man compared to an Adam. Okay, it says right here, if I can get it to be in the right, there it is. Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them. Men. Hadam, born on the face of the earth. 7 says the same thing. Here's Zadik, an adjective meaning just. Okay, adjective is just describing the noun men, or in this case, man, Ish. The term bears primarily a moral and ethical significance. This is word study. Someone or something considered to be just or righteous because of conformity to a given standard. It could be used to describe people or actions in a legal context. Well, it is. And here we're talking about in accordance with Elohim standards is what we're talking about. That's what a righteous man of Elohim is. Can we have righteous men of America or the United States? No, we can. They're righteous men. They're following the standard of the United States, aren't they? And that's what we have right now. And so we've got lots of people who think they're righteous men because they're keeping the law of the land, don't you know? But in fact, they're harlots serving other Elohim. And they don't know what righteousness is, because righteousness begins with separating yourself from other men, other Elohim. Well, I'm going to stop here. I've got 12:58. We'll pick it up here next week. I really thought we might get a little bit further. I've got a lot of things that I want to talk about in this chapter. I like the fact that so many times we're talking about Ha-Adam, but then we're going to talk about the Elohim. The earth was corrupt before the Elohim. Did Noah walk with? Who did Noah walk with? Did he walk with the Elohim, or what does it say? Yeah. Noah walked with the Elohim. There it is right there. I marked it. So really, I should tell myself so I can see this more easily that is the Elohim. Noah walked with the Elohim. The Elohim. Everybody else was making Elohim after for themselves, weren't they? But Noah walked with the Elohim. That's our goal. You want to survive the last days? Learn to walk with the Elohim. Okay, let's stop here. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions for the people who are with me today. But I'm glad that you could be with me. If you like these videos, please, please, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I realize you've got to be a YouTube member to subscribe to the YouTube channel, I'm pretty sure. But if you will, I'd appreciate it. It helps, and you'll be able to get every video as I finish them. We're going through Torah. Torah builds on itself. Chapter 1 is understood in, chapter 2 is understood in the context of chapter 1. 3 is understood in the context of 2 and 1, and so on and so forth. And Yehovah leads us gently through the Torah. He teaches us what is certain kinds of offering. Then he teaches us more specifics about those kinds of offerings. And by the time we finish, we are learning to become holy as Jehovah is holy, as Jehovah is holy. Let's learn righteousness together. I can help you. I've seen things that many people have not seen. Please consider joining me live if you can't. Listen to the videos. You'll learn, you'll grow, hopefully change and become holy as he is holy, and learn the ways that lead to eternal life, just like Enoch was trying to teach Adam's seed. All right, well, we'll see you next week. Yehovah bless you. Bye-bye.